Welcome back to Dude, Could You Imagine? The show that asks what if and explores the hypothetical and absurd. I'm your host, Fritz Frivolous. Now let's meet our contestants and explain the rules for our audience. The rules are simple. Our two contestants, Will and Tom, will place these neural transmitters on their heads, and then they will be placed into a deep coma-like state. From this point, I will ask them a question or give them a scenario to which they must answer, all while the neural transmitters give us a glimpse into what they are imagining. So, Will and Tom, are you ready? As ready as I'll ever be.
Indeed.
Well, you heard him, folks. Let's get ready to play Dude, Could You Imagine? And the question is, could you make your phobia become even worse? Okay, William.
Yes.
You have heard the question, and the question is, how could your phobia become worse?
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So I think we need to explain to the audience. The idea behind how we're doing this question is that Tom and I are both going to state our phobias, our irrational fears.
Yeah, irrational
and
fears.
The opposite person is going to make an alteration to the deal.
Yeah.
And make that fear worse. And then we're going to talk about like what would life be if that was our new reality.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a fun conversation.
Well, it is. And you have a major advantage in this one, though, because of the fact that you've actually seen me like react to my worst fear, my phobia. But like I actually haven't seen you. I haven't been able to witness you.
Well,
you know what I mean?
So what we'll do is we'll have you go first with your fear, and then
Okay.
I'll try and make it worse. And then when we do mine, I will give you some examples of like things that I go through or reactions I've had, and then we can get into it.
Okay.
Sound good?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I also want to say before we get into this, guys, I brought these shiny new dice for this game and for this podcast episode, and I'm realizing I'm not going to roll it at all. We're not doing a scenario today.
I know. I brought mine out too, and then when we picked the question, I was like, oh, you know what? I guess we're not rolling dice.
Yeah, but that's okay. We're not going to roll dice every episode this season. Just a good majority of them, probably.
Yeah, we've done it already for the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So fourth episode could be, let's bring back to our normal episode.
So, Thomas, why don't you tell our audience what your irrational fear is, and go ahead and describe like how potent it is for you.
Okay, so I have arachnophobia.
You really do.
I really do.
You really do.
It is to the point where I feel like, okay, you want to describe how potent it is?
Yeah.
I really believe that my brain has sharpened my reflexes against spiders because, and I know you've seen this, I will be walking around, and you most likely, the normal person, would never see a spider or wouldn't probably even notice it. And even I don't notice it like consciously. I don't think I do, right?
Yeah.
And I'll walk by and boom, my body will just jerk. I will jump backwards or however I can to get away from it.
You have a spider sense.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. A spider sense against other spiders.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's nasty, and I freeze up. I get cold sweats. I can't say I freeze up because I do jump. I jump back. I get
you get extremely tense though.
Extremely tense.
I will say this. One of the main things that stands out to me is you have a tendency to be wary of or on the lookout for spiders in situations that normal people would not.
And
I'll just notice like you'll be doing, I don't know, something on the job and you'll be like kind of like looking around. I see you looking for spiders. I'm like, I don't think there would be spiders here, but I'm like, whatever, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sometimes on our jobs, we have to deliver things and we're walking around, right? I will literally go all the way around the long way if I see a spider blocking my path. Like, I will literally go all the way around. I don't care. Yeah. And
even small spiders get you.
Small spiders, obviously bigger spiders. The weird thing, though, weird thing is tarantulas don't set that off for me. I mean, I've never encountered a tarantula in the wild.
I have.
So I don't know if it would maybe trigger that in me or not.
I think it might, but maybe the reason it doesn't is because they're not the spindly, sneaky, stealthy type of spiders.
They have a little bit of hair on them. They're fuzzy, and I think for some reason that does something to my mind to calm me down.
There is something utterly fucking alien looking about spiders.
Yes.
With the more you look at them, especially like under a magnifying glass, the 8 eyes, the 8 legs, the weird angles, like, they like if spiders didn't exist, right? Let's say they just didn't exist, and someone drew one from their imagination. Yeah. Like, people would be like, oh, that's a really fucking amazing looking alien that you just drew there.
Yeah,
that's
right?
exactly what we would think, because it doesn't look like that should exist on this earth.
Yeah, exactly. They're man. And the worst thing I've ever seen was the 2 worst things I've ever seen was Arachnophobia, the movie.
I like that
and
movie.
I will squirm, and also, you know this too, when I see a spider, I start to like look at myself and I start to itch and I feel like they're on me even though they're not. Yeah, when I watch that movie, I look like I'm on drugs or something, like I'm twitching and I'm, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the other worst one was a YouTube video, and I want to say it was either in Brazil or of course Australia. And I forget what it was, but it was a spider migration, and there was blankets, miles upon miles in a big field, blankets of spider webs everywhere, and there was like tons of spiders, and the person filming it on their phone, the way it just looked like they were walking into an area with a bunch of floating spiders, like hundreds of them, and hundreds and hundreds of them, like,
That's wild.
God,
I've never heard of that,
gross,
but that's wild.
You should look it up on YouTube. It's nasty.
Have you seen the movie 8-Legged Freaks?
I have seen that.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that doesn't get me.
Terrible movie. I love
that doesn't get me as bad as isn't that the one where they're giant?
Yeah, they all get big because of a reason I don't remember. Also, and they're all running. Remember the jumping spiders across the dunes?
Yeah. The other thing too is with that spider that's on Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So I forget her name now, but the one that
she something
like that.
Shelob.
Shelob, yeah. That doesn't get me as bad either because it's giant and I'm like, okay, that's fake. But what does creep me out is when Frodo gets stuck in the web.
Yeah.
That freaks me out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. I guess since we're on Lord of the Rings, one of the most disappointing things, one of the many disappointing things about the Hobbit movies is the spider scenes. So and I know maybe it seems silly. I'm going to say like what happens to the book. I know it's going to seem silly sounding, but like I've seen it done extraordinarily well in animation, so I think it could have been pulled off. So the spiders in The Hobbit speak. And like they speak fluently, like they speak, like Bilbo converses with them.
So they're smart.
They're smart, and they're kind of terrifying. And they're like these. They're if I remember correctly, in the book there's 3. There's 3 spiders, and they're like 3 sisters, and it's kind of like a weird take on the trope of like the witches in the wood, you know what I mean, or the hags in the forest, except for they're spiders, and so like they're like singing and rhyming with each other as they're wrapping up the dwarves. No, it's like a really interesting, like very fairy tale esque scene, but I thought it was really cool, and so when the spiders didn't talk, when it wasn't like that in the movies, I was like, bah,
let you down,
trash. That ruined it.
That's all I would need is Spider to be smart.
Well, that's not how I'm making it worse today, man.
I'm gonna save this last story though. I'm gonna wait and see if what you're gonna do is worse than an actual nightmare that I used to have. It's a reoccurring nightmare that I used to have when I was younger.
I guess
I know. Let's see. I'll tell what that nightmare is at the end of this.
The way that I would make your phobia worse, if I wanted to truly put you in a life of hell, is to make it so that all spiders on this earth could and did fly.
Oh no way!
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely
flying spiders. Yep,
no.
They fly to hunt as well as spin their webs.
That is so weird. When I was a teenager, I was at a friend's house swimming, and I swear, obviously it couldn't have been, but I swear I saw a flying spider. I heard it. You could hear, it was like a very loud, almost like a wasp type noise of the wings, like a you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I look up and I just see this black circular type, because usually wasps and stuff, they're long, they're not circular.
Yeah.
And to me, of course, though, I had chlorine in my eyes, and like I only got a glimpse of it, but it looked like a spider. And
I've seen those. I don't know what they're called, but they land on the water. They have the long spindly legs. You know what I'm talking about? They're like you see them
like the dragonflies?
No, not
okay.
dragonflies. They're
I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they have the really long legs, and then they kind of just land on the water and float.
Oh, I know what you're.
I could definitely see you if it's in flight and you're chlorine in your eyes, taking that and it looking spider-esque.
Yeah, because it had that round abdomen style shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah.
So if spiders could fly, imagine if they colonized like bees, like.
Oh my God!
Wasps.
Oh no, that is bad.
Instead of a wasp nest, it's a spider nest.
Oh, dude,
and it's like a big fucking sack of spider silk with spiders crawling in and out of it.
Dude, that is. I don't know what I would do if I saw
how
that,
like if you leave the door open and mosquitoes get in sometimes.
No,
it's like close the door, spiders will get in, and the spider's like,
I am never
with
going
their 8 fucking legs.
Oh my God, the noise!
8 legs and 2 wings, man.
The noise would. That noise would mean something different to me now. Like that, I already don't like that noise. Like when the wasp, but like, but if I know it could be a spider, and then especially if it's a venomous spider, like, that's even worse.
Another thing that would if spiders ended up having wings and flight was a big part of how they live their lives, that would also change drastically most spiders from being nocturnal to not being nocturnal, which means that you would have to deal with them during the day.
Oh yeah,
and they would be everywhere.
Oh, I can. You know what? I just thought about too. Then, well, if now they're that mobile, are they still using their webs? Like, because either that means there won't be a lot of webs around, or that would mean the webs are larger because now they can anchor one web and fly to another, and they can just keep making gigantic webs.
This is why I could see like almost colony style, because like you're right, like they could be larger, right? And how much would it benefit if like, I don't know, 100 spiders banded together and canopied an entire like grove of trees, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like all the bugs in the area
that's like that YouTube
and
video,
all the spiders are gonna feast.
Yeah,
like they're gonna start working in tandem.
That's actually that YouTube video that I saw. That was kind of like that. I don't know if they were working in tandem, but it looked like a bunch of them. Like
that's pretty crazy.
That is bad.
That being said, it's also possible that they use just a bend in the web. And can you imagine, like, okay, spiders flying, it comes across a moth, right? It lands near where the moth is doing moth things. I don't know what moths do because I'm not a moth scientist, but it gets close enough, and then it like spits out web. It hits it and then pulls it and then wraps it up and then eats it right there.
That's
a pretty efficient hunting style.
That is terrifying.
That would be something crazy to fucking witness.
But I mean, like, imagine, like,
what would change about your life if this was the case? Because, like, if you have
dead.
If you have the phobia that I know you do have, like,
dude,
it would be very stressful for you to go outside.
It would, like, honestly, I think the major thing that will change, because here's the thing. I'll still go in areas, in wilderness areas that I know do have a lot more spiders than, let's say, in my urban area of where I live. You know what I mean? Or a suburban area, whatever, right? That would dramatically change. I would never go in any area that I know would have a high concentration of these type of spiders. And if I'm living in that area, I would probably be either never going outside or I would be moving somewhere. Because, like, you know,
where is it that spiders don't live?
See, that's the problem. It's like, is it like a problem like flies? You know what I mean? Because flies are in almost everywhere.
And part of that is because they can fly.
I mean, except maybe in Alaska?
I'm doing some I don't know. I'm looking it up.
Yeah. Like, do I have to go live in one of like the North or South Poles or something? Like, I mean, you know, and that's what I was going to bring up. How mobile are they flying? Because like a bee or like a wasp.
Here we go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
There are only a handful of locations on Earth where spiders cannot be found. Among these areas are the world's oceans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Though some spiders have adapted to life on shorelines and shallow bodies of fresh water, polar regions, like the Arctic and Antarctica, and at extreme altitudes of tall mountains. So those are your options, man.
Okay, maybe I'll go to the tall mountain like that. I think that seems the best.
You know, I think near the ocean would probably actually be the best for, because, like, don't get me wrong, bugs of course do exist in coastal areas, but like here in California, like one of the great things about the beach is like there's no bugs to bug you. And a big part of that is just because of that natural wind always blowing. At least I think that's the reason. don't get me wrong, like there are bugs, but it seems to drop drastically.
Yeah.
So that might be best. You might want to live on the coast and just keep your house super clean and protected.
I definitely would be stocked up on any type of that, like what kind of pesticides or whatever would kill that bug if there's anything. Mm-hmm. The thing that sucks now is there really isn't one for spiders to begin with. Like a lot of pesticides that say that they kill spiders, some do work, but like there's not many that are like it. From what I remember hearing is that it's harder to combat with pesticides against spiders, right? Compared to like other bugs like mosquitoes.
Yeah, because a lot of spiders don't go crawling around.
Yeah,
probably.
you know what I mean? It's like
plus you really don't want, like, I know you hate spiders, but you really don't want to go trying to kill them all over the place because they're great for the environment.
Oh yeah.
I will say one great thing, you would probably want to invest into either a bird that eats bugs or a lizard that crawls around the house.
I was just about to say I would stock up on pesticide, like those type things, but I would also get pets that would be that are known to eat bugs like that. Yeah, you know what I mean? And like
what lizard is it that like shoots out the tongue?
I think it's either a chameleon or an iguana. I can't remember.
Not an iguana.
So it's a chameleon then, right?
Is it a chameleon?
I know they
eat crickets. I know they eat crickets and they'll eat spiders, but they're slow, dude. They don't move around a lot.
I know. Well, see, what I was doing, and I've also seen YouTube videos on this, is like people have done that. They literally get these type of pets for that reason, and they'll pick up their pet on their hand and bring them over to the spider or whatever, and it'll see it and be like, and it would like eat it. And when I saw that, I'm like, fight nature with nature.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's hilarious.
Like, but other than that, like I'm in real trouble because like my wife, she doesn't particularly like spiders. She doesn't have, I don't think, the same fear as I do, but like she also doesn't like them.
Most people don't.
But she doesn't like any flying bugs. So like now that they're flying, I can't rely on her to kill them for me. You know what I mean? Like
that's true. I mean, honestly, there's a danger of you being like a person with, what is it? I think it's called agoraphobia. People who have fear of outside.
Yeah.
You would essentially have a semi-related fear. Like you would be afraid to go out places.
I would. I really would. I would have to like. I would either, I don't know, I might even invest in like some weird suit, and I don't care if people look and laugh at me. I did like just to wear it like maybe from the door to the car, and then like depending on where we're at, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like forget camping. I'm never going camping again.
I'm sorry, man.
And I love mountain areas and outdoors, and I know that's probably where they would like have gigantic nests.
I tell you about the time I went camping and the scorpions that weren't scorpions, they were just a species of arachnid very closely related scorpions were fucking everywhere. It was like midnight hit and they came out in fucking droves and we're like, holy shit.
Speaking of, that's a nightmare. Speaking of, let me tell you then of my nightmare.
Oh yes.
So what actually happens in this recurring nightmare I had when I was younger was there was my dad's desk in the computer room, right? And I wake up in my dream and there's tons of spiders, all different shapes, sizes, colors, right? Some of them I know don't exist because they look like these weird gem, like their abdomens were like this weird green or red gem style abdomen things, but they were crawling all around, right? In my room. And I freak out and I run out of my bedroom and I go underneath my dad's desk. And the problem is when I'm hiding under his desk, all of a sudden I look up and I notice there's tons of them up there, and then they all form a line. They all leave my bedroom, form this gigantic line on the floor, and they're all coming, right? Then I'm freaking out, right? Because now I'm trapped. I'm underneath the desk, and I can't go forward because they're all in front of me, and they can talk. But the way they have to talk is they had to crawl up my body and into my ear, and then I can hear them. And I was freaked out. And what they were saying to me was they were mad that I was killing all of them because like I would kill them in the house, right? And like and so they were like, you better not kill our cousins anymore, our brethren or whatever, you know. I forget what words they used, but like that's basically what it was. And I was trying to like plead with them and make a deal like, okay, stay out of the house area. I will not kill any. You know what I mean? Like, I hated that. That's a crazy
dream. I was not expecting that.
I know, man. That's what I'm saying. It's pretty weird. Dude.
Yeah, your phobia is real, man. Your phobia is real.
Today's show is sponsored by Sky City's Flyder Exterminators. Is your home infested with those pesky 8-legged flying freaks? Tired of all the buzzing and webs? Call Sky City's Flyder Exterminators now and receive a free estimate with 25% off for same-day fumigation. We are also sponsored by Patreon. Looking to become more than just a patron? Become a Patreon member at patreon.com/dude could you imagine and show your support. And finally, Apple Podcasts. Take a bite into the apple and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Now, let's get back to some more Dude Could You Imagine? All right, I think let's see if I can.
The tables?
Yeah, let's see if I can.
The turns have tabled. Okay, so I mean, you know this about me. You know that my phobia is I have a great fear of heights, which it has a lot of weird, different aspects or rules to it. Like, for example, you would think someone with a very, very strong fear of heights like myself would not like roller coasters at all.
Oh, yeah, I was about to ask that.
Yeah, roller coasters is one of the very few things that I could partake in and enjoy.
Wow, really?
And
okay.
It has something to do with the forward motion.
Okay.
That comes along with the fall. So like the really, really steep ones can kind of get me, and I'll have like a moment of like oh shit. Irrational fear. Yeah. But once we start moving and stuff, that all goes away and I'm having a good time.
Oh, okay.
But the rides that go straight up and down only,
you know, like the ones that not
Supreme
very
Screams or the Superman, those I cannot do. Oh. I cannot do those. I have full freakouts. One freak out I had, and it was funny. It was at Knott's Berry Farm, actually. So I don't know if they still have it there, but you're familiar with the rides. They call them swings, where basically you get into like a thing and it just kind of turns and you kind of swing.
Circles. Yeah. Those ones.
They go like relatively slow. They're not very intense at all. They're usually I can do those most of the time. They're fine. So Knott's Berry Farm had, or maybe still has, an incredibly tall one. It's so tall that you're above Supreme Scream in the air, swinging.
Wow, that's high,
it's
dude.
Extremely high, right?
Yeah.
And I must have been 20, 21 years old. I was out with my friends. I think we were doing a thing where we were like, it was like a goodbye because a couple of our friends were joining the military. Mm-hmm. You know, so it was like, hey, let's all go to Knott's Berry Farm. We'll have a good time. So we're all having a good time. I'm like chatting it up. We get in line for the swing thing. And I just don't think about it. I just don't think about the height. I'm just like, oh, a swing. That sounds cool. I'm talking to my buddy. You know, we're having a good time. And we get in the ride and we're still talking.
Oh,
blah,
my
blah,
God.
blah. And then they'll latch me in. And, you know, I'm not having any realization of what I'm about to do to myself. And then we start to go up. Right?
Yeah.
And it's in that moment that I've realized how badly I fucked up, because I'm like, wait a minute.
Isn't that a famous meme thing or whatever? Like, it was like, it's at that moment he realizes he fucked up.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. It is. It was exactly like that. But I'm just like, no, it'll be fine. Because like I go in my head, I'm like, the one thing we're not doing is going up and down, right? So in my head, I'm like, okay, I got this. It's all good. So
it's a forward motion.
It's a forward motion, kind of.
Yeah.
And so I'm like trying to psych myself up into this is going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
And then we keep getting higher and higher and higher, right? And as we're getting higher, we're starting to swing around, and the fear, right? It just starts to kind of just leach into every crevice of my brain.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh shit, and I'm next to my buddy Max at the time, who was also the bass player of my band at the time. Mm-hmm. In the row ahead of me is my sister and her friend. And I know a couple of my other friends were somewhere on the swing, but I was only really aware of them. And I start going into a full blown panic attack, right? And I'm imagining like the seat coming unlatched and me falling. I'm imagining the thing just falling over. I'm imagining all these different things that I know logically are just, they're not going to happen.
Yeah.
And the fear is so strong though. And this is what I think a lot of people who don't have phobias don't realize is like, it is so strong that it turns things that you know aren't true and like convinces you more convincingly than anything else in your life that they are true and they're going to happen.
Yeah, you lose logic.
It was in that moment that I knew for certain I was going to die. I just knew it at the bottom of my soul that I was going to die, and we were falling and everything, and I just go into full blown panic attack.
When you do panic attack though, are you the kind like, are you like me, like you tense up, or are you like flailing trying to get?
I definitely was tensed bounced up. I just was like fetal position curled up. But I don't remember. See, the thing is, I don't really remember what I was saying or how. I must have been being loud because there's a second part to this.
Oh, okay.
So I must have been being loud because I must have been yelling and screaming because I had a full freak out, and I know my buddy Max was trying to calm me down. He's like, dude, it's going to be okay. And I just remember the tipping point for me, right? It's all building. And then I hear someone say like, oh shit, I can see the beach from here. And
my God.
And then I just fucking completely melted down. I just had a full meltdown. And so I get off and I'm shaking.
Yeah.
And Max is like, dude, it's going to be okay. Let's get you something to drink. Like, he's a good friend. All my friends were good friends at the time. So everyone was very supportive.
Yeah.
But ends up my sister's crying when I get up, when we all meet. And she said she was fine, but my freak out was so intense. It made her freak out.
Oh, I thought she was crying, laughing.
No. So she told me that like my panic made her panic, even though she's not normally afraid of heights.
Yeah.
So she started freaking out. Which again, like I was so out of it, I don't remember like I don't really remember anything that went on around me. But yeah, no, phobia is real. Here's the thing that happens to me on the regular. So, you know how in some malls, you have your first and second floor?
Oh, yeah.
So, the second floor is pretty high. It's like
it is
35, 40 feet higher than the floor below it. And they always have a railing, and usually that railing is about midriff height or whatever.
It's like 4 feet or so.
Yeah, something like that. Totally reasonable and safe. And for some reason, if I have a loved one or I see a child walking next to that, I go in the freak out mode. I just become convinced they're going to fall and die.
Yeah.
I remember the last few times with me and my family went, I kept it hidden inside because I didn't want to, say anything because we're just having a good time at the mall.
Yeah.
But I remember my stepdaughter, she's just like skipping next to this railing, totally safe.
La.
Totally safe. And in my mind, I was like, she's going to die. Like I was having a full fucking meltdown, dude.
You tackle her.
So so it extends to other people too. It's not just if I'm on the ledge.
Okay,
if I see someone on a ledge, I freak out.
That is interesting.
Okay. So now you have an understanding of how I'm afraid of heights.
So yes, and that I actually loved hearing all that because now I got a better glimpse. So because I really think this is gonna make it worse. But here's the thing: you're gonna have to give me a little leadway here because my phobia and what you made it worse with, it's conceivable, right?
Right, it is conceivable.
Maybe someday.
Oh God, can you imagine?
I hope after I'm dead, long dead, that there's a mutation and they have wings.
Yeah.
Mine,
defies reality.
Mine is going to be a little bit. You're going to have to give me a little leeway.
Fantastical.
So, imagine if, let's say, certain plants start to grow and mutate on Earth.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And their interaction creates a very poisonous and deadly gas that lingers on the surface of the Earth.
So we have to move into the sky.
So except for for certain pockets because our government was aware of it. So now, in order to travel anywhere, and you would have to travel because now there's low population on Earth. You are made to wherever you are, you have to go to other places to serve your communities and whatever.
Yeah.
They had to create it so quickly. They had to use these very strong but quick plastic, type, hooks and pulley systems. So where it's gonna hoist you up 500 feet in the air, maybe more, and that's how you travel now is basically on this moving hook, almost like a
basically all of where people live, our residences are up high now.
Yeah.
And to travel between these islands.
Yeah.
I basically have to zip line.
You have to kind of zip line. Yeah. But they're just a harness that goes around your shoulders. So your feet are dangling. You don't have a seat and you're just moving across at, I don't know how high of an altitude, and that's it. That's how you would have to.
Okay, so
I think that would.
I have a very small zipline story. One time I went. I'm not going to get into how all the circumstances that led to this point, but at one point I had to go to this Christian camp up in the woods.
Oh, you're going to tell me this story later.
No, I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, I know, but you're going to tell me the circumstance.
Oh, it's nothing crazy. It's just this is 5 different super menial information bits that I don't want to get into. Actually, I had a good time. It was for 3 days or whatever. And one of the things was I got basically I went up with a friend's family, right? And the friend's mom asked us if we wanted to sign up for the activities, and I was in a very like say yes to everything state of my existence. So without knowing what the activities were, I said, "Yeah, sure, sign me up." And one of the activities was ziplining.
Oh,
but it wasn't just ziplining. So they had this fucking rickety ass tower.
Aren't they always like that? Like, right?
Rickety ass tower, and you had to climb it. You know, like those when you go to like a rock climbing gym.
Yeah,
where it's like the colored
you had to
stones
climb it like that.
I had to climb it like that, right?
Yeah.
So I climb it. I get up to the top. Well, okay. It's another one of those instances where I don't think about it. I'm like, oh, this is fine. I'm athletic, right? About halfway up this wall, I look down. I'm like, I have made a grave mistake. So anyways, I end up getting up to the top, and I remember just like being almost like paralyzed as I'm like grabbing onto the top of the tower and like slowly pulling myself up. And then once you're up there, you're supposed to zip line down, right? And it's not like too crazy of a zip line. And I thought I was going to be okay with this because in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get into this harness. I'm going to sit back on it. I'm going to lift my legs up, and I'm going to just zip down, right?
Yeah.
I go, I can do this. It's not going to be that big a deal. So that is not how this worked at all. So on this rickety tower swaying in the wind, I'm expected to, and I do, put on the harness, except for the harness is so low that one cannot just sit back on it or sit down on it and go. Like I had to literally run and jump off of the tower and then let the harness catch me and zip down the rest of the way.
Oh, that's way worse.
It was 1,000 times worse. And I was paralyzed with fear. And then I basically was like, okay, well, you know what? I'll just climb back down. There's no ladder, by the way.
Was there any adult up there supervising?
Yep, there was an adult up there. Yes.
Okay.
There was an adult. And he was just like, well, you could climb down if you want. I said, okay. I was like, I will. And then I went and looked back at it, and I was like, I'm not climbing back down. I'm not doing this. And so it took all my grit and all my bravery, and I ran and I jumped, and dude, like, okay, I knew there was going to be a little bit of drop, and I thought it was going to catch me, right?
Yeah.
So what I thought was going to be like 3 feet of drop ended up being more like 6 or 7 feet of drop.
Yeah.
Or at least it's what it felt like. Because there was a moment where I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, it should have caught already. Oh my God, it didn't catch. Oh my God, I'm going to die. And then it catches.
Yeah.
And then I zipped down, and it was a fucking horrible experience. Now, that being said, in your weird zipline world,
and by the way, all the zip lines in my weird zipline world are like that.
Yeah, I figured. Because I was going to say, if the zip lines are like normal zip lines that you can just kind of secure yourself, sit back, lift your legs up, and go, like, yeah, they'll be intense for me. I won't really like going anywhere, but guess what? I already don't like going anywhere now in today's world.
Yeah.
But I could handle it. But if it was the constantly needing to leap off of ledges,
yeah.
I see. You know what would make this worse is like not zip line. No, you just had a hang glide anywhere you went.
Oh man. See, I was thinking what you have are these special shoulder straps with a loop like in between your shoulders.
Yeah.
And a hook comes in and picks you up, but you got you know what I mean. So you're dangling.
So you're dangling.
Yeah, you're dangling, and you're just.
I would basically what I would do is my life's focus would be to find a hub that provides me with the most services, and where I could find a job where I have to leave the least amount possible.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm just never going to want to go anywhere that isn't on foot in this world. If I have to dangle be carried, I would be so angry at the inventor of this bullshit. You know what my goal would be? My goal would be to become a politician. And climb as high up into this government system as I can so I can make the fucking changes necessary to overhaul this stupid system that we've implemented.
That would be so funny. You literally become like the next governor or the president or something.
I will become Sky President.
Oops.
Whoa.
I don't know why. Siri wanted to find something on the web,
but it'd be stressful for me. Another fun fact about me is I've never been on a plane, and funnily enough, it has nothing to do with my fear of heights. It's just never happened. But I do plan on changing that very soon. But I don't know how my phobia interacts with like extreme elevations, like plane flight.
Yeah,
I don't know if it'll go off or not. But I guess we'll find out.
It's the plane. thing, because like I have a little bit of a fear of heights as well, but like the plane one, the only time I've ever really felt like anything with that is if there's turbulence in the air, because like turbulence did not feel like what I ever would have imagined. I thought turbulence, because I'm thinking air, right? I'm thinking like everything's going to be like a smooth feeling or something, and I thought turbulence would just be like, whoa, you up and down, like you feel, but it's choppy. It's hard. It's like when you're in a car and you're going over a bunch of bumps. Yeah, that's what it can feel like, and I didn't know it was going to feel like that. And I remember, God, I can't remember where I was going to, but I was alone on the plane, right? And there was a woman that I didn't know, because I traveled alone at that time. I think I might have been going to I forget. I think I might have went to Vegas for some reason. I don't remember, but like there was a woman next to me, and all of a sudden the plane went through turbulence, and I grabbed her hand, and like and I quickly let go, and she was like an older lady. And she's like, you can hold on my hand if you want to, like that. And I was just
very
felt like
sweet of her.
Yeah, and I felt like I was like Forrest Gump or something. Like, you can sit here if you want to. You know what I mean? Like
before you said it was an older lady and all that, I was like, and watch the story end, and then we got married 2 years later.
Yeah, I know, right? That was the first time I met Ashley. No, it wasn't. But dude, could you imagine?
And now let's see what the audience thinks.
Okay, now we're going to look to our audience, William. We've actually had some responses here to our few premiering episodes of Season 3.
Awesome. Let's hear it.
So we got Darnell Hudson. He was responding to Season 3, Episode 1, Coordinate Quandary, Shakara 5-star.
Oh, yeah, where I got lost in Brazil.
Yeah. He says, Will, in a survival situation, you need to make use of any tool, he's talking to you. He's a Will, in a survival situation, you need to make use of any tools you have. You came with a pillow, mattress, and clothes. The threads from those could be used to fish. You could have torn your pillow and wrapped the straps around your feet to make makeshift shoes. The stuffing
that I thought about later. I thought about fuck, I could have done shoes.
But out of that,
But as for the needing to fish, I wasn't worried about that because I had the phone, and the phone was trying to guide me to civilization.
And you were pretty close to this bar and grill area.
Yeah. But, sorry,
and then he also said the stuffing could be used for tinder to start a fire, and the springs from your mattress could have any potential number of uses, which is true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, all good advice. I did think of the shoe thing, but I wasn't worried about the longer term survival thing, because I did see that things were in, I won't say close, but in technical walking distance.
Yeah.
Now, if I hadn't had the GPS, that would have changed a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. CN781 on the same episode says, glad to see the podcast is airing again. You know what? We're glad to see that you like that we are airing.
I'm glad
again.
We're airing too.
Let's see. And then for me, CN781 in episode 2 of Coordinate Quandary, the Grim and Grizzly, they wrote, CN781 wrote, I had originally thought Tom was messing up by going south, as I thought he was in Russia. But after I looked up the coordinates and saw he was in Quebec, he went the only direction he had a chance of surviving.
You seriously, like if you would pick any other direction, just somehow and I gave you no clues.
Yeah,
because
I know.
You had no clues, but you chose the exact right areas to go. So like you got a good survival instinct, man.
I had to I was like, I got to pick a direction and stick with it, because otherwise,
Yeah, no, you should.
They also wrote, side note, police cruisers have GPS in the vehicle, and the police are tracking the vehicle with GPS, so Tom wouldn't have had to guess directions and knew where he was.
Okay, but does the GPS? I guess GPS is satellite, right?
Right, that's what I was thinking. So should still work.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
so
I'm alive. We'll remember that moving forward.
Yeah. That's true.
Honestly, I don't know how much it would have changed, because like you chose the right directions to go. So you would have continued choosing the right directions, but remember your car did run out of gas.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah.
Season 3, Episode 3, Fatal Fanaticism. ST wrote, totally loving the D&D style roleplay questions. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. We hope all of you are enjoying that. We're going to do more. I really enjoy doing those.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. I mean, you're talking to a dude who does D&D for a living. Of course, I'm going to like D&D-izing anything.
Yeah. And then just the last one here is also from Darnell Hudson on the same episode. And he just said, wait, Fritz is alive? So,
is he, though?
I don't know. It appears. It appears.
Let me tell you something, Darnell. Not all is as it seems.
Yeah. But, dude, Could you imagine?
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Once again, I'm Fritz Frivolous, and this has been Dude, Could You Imagine? If you would like to support our show, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dudecouldyoumagine, or leave us an Apple Podcast review. Don't forget, we would love to hear from you, and you can subscribe to us on Instagram at dude_couldyoumagine, on Twitter at DCYimagine, and on our YouTube channel where you can leave a like and a comment. You can also let us know what you are imagining by emailing us at dudecouldyoumagine@gmail.com. Until next time, folks, this is Fritz Frivolous reminding you to keep on imagining.
And then we start to go up, right?
Yeah.
And it's in that moment that I've realized how badly I fucked up, because I'm like, wait a minute.
Isn't that a famous meme thing or whatever? Like, it was like, it's at that moment he realizes he fucked up.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It is. It was exactly like that.